All right. Feeney Talks with Friends, episode 110. We're in a special place, Town Hall, room 326. This is great. How you guys doing?
We are doing great, Eric. Thank you.
Also am doing great, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah, two guys and a lot of wine. I can't wait.
Two guys and a lot of wine with friends with you.
Yes.
Couldn't ask for more than that.
Two pods. This is the first time we've done two pods. It's like two pods and a pea, right?
Two pods and a pea. or two
crazy.
wine guys and a pea. Right. Yes, very exciting. Very exciting.
Special collaborative episode. My name is Eric Feeney, founder and president of Friends of Feeney. Our mission is to help children and families that need assistance after heartbreak or tragedy. I use this podcast, Feeney Talks with Friends, and I talk to wonderful people in the community that are doing great things. And we're here with Bobby, P, and Rocky, and you guys do great things. You've been on the air for 13 years.
13, almost 14 years, I think. I always forget. I think we started in 11. I had another co-host before Rocky joined me, and he moved to the Boston area with his wife. And Rocky's been with us now for 6 years?
Started in 16, so do the math there. 17, so
yeah.
7 years, yeah.
Yep, and I will say that both Rocky and Jim, my former co-hosts, are what you would call the wine experts. I have always referred to myself as the Regis Philbin of the wine show, which I tried to have levity and fun in regards to drinking wine, so I'll get it too technical.
Yeah. Well, I can't thank you enough. I'm so excited to be here. Again, we're on episode 110. My past podcast was filmed at Maximum Beverage. You ever go over there?
Oh, yeah. That Maximum Beverage, I think we've been there.
I was there a few days ago.
Yes.
Check that out, 109 with Omar. And then another special one, 108 with the Honorable Dr. Miguel Cardona, our Secretary of Education. So go back and check out those podcasts. But I'm very excited to be here. We have some sponsors. We have Brook Golf, Keating Agency, Luna Pizza, The Fix IV, Donut Crazy, People's Bank, Parkville Market, West Hartford Lock. So we're now with West Hartford Lock. What are 3 keys that make you great at hosting two guys and a lot of wine? 3 keys.
Oh, God. The love of wine. That's one. I mean, you got to love what you're talking about. I'll go with that one first. Rocky?
I think that we like to have fun talking about it, and I think that wine does not have to be this pretentious thing that a lot of people think that it is, and that's what we do with our show, is just let's have fun talking about wine. And I think part of the fun is that you don't know if it's going to be good or if it's bad and how you're going to react when it does, but it's always fun, and it always goes by really fast.
And the third one, I think, is price point. I think, Rocky and I both know there are plenty of wine shows where they talk about very expensive wines. And when I started this show 13 odd years ago, the original goal was to keep the wines between $8 to $15. Now we upped that a little bit, but in general, Rocky, I think most of our wines generally fall into that price point, $8 to $15 or $16. Though as we become more seasoned vets, the price point has been going up over the last couple of years, but we still keep it affordable. So I think those 3 points are very important for the average person when it comes to wine, because they don't want to break the bank on stuff they don't know if they're going to like.
Yeah. No, that's great. You guys always look like you're having a great time. Speaking of Maximum Beverage, Matt Whitney, he owns it. He said, don't wait for an occasion for the bottle. Make the bottle the occasion. Have you guys ever said that?
Yeah, well, Matt's been on the show a few times.
Matt's been on a few times. I haven't heard that one yet, but that's.
You did not use that one.
We could use that. Are you writing this down, Bobby? I don't have any paper in front of me.
Oh, I do, but I have my pen. I left my pen over there.
Who's been on the most of your podcast? You said he's the what? You just mentioned that earlier.
Chris Williams, I think, is the Alec Baldwin, though I should use Alec Baldwin's name right now with all his problems, but he is the Alec Baldwin of the show because he's been on the most, and I think Essie is a close second.
Essie's been on several times, yeah. She comes on every year.
Well, Matt Whitney's my Alec Baldwin.
Oh.
Yeah. Matt Whitney's been on episode 16, 30, 67, and 109. Alec Baldwin, Matt Whitney.
Let's just say I know it's a secret, but this might be from our good friend.
That's okay.
Over here, so I don't think that really narrows it down to a few thousand wines.
That's a hard guy to get on the show, though, isn't he? He's always busy.
Yeah. You guys drink whiskey? You guys also do whiskey?
I do not. We actually we did the whiskey show when he was here.
Okay.
One of the times. I don't think you were on the whiskey.
He came on to promote the whiskey festival one year, and I at the last minute was not able to make it, so it was still 2 guys and a lot of whiskey. But
and I tried it. Don't get me wrong. I used to be a beer drinker about 20 some odd years ago, and my ex was French, and she said, Bobby, you're drinking beer way too much. So she got me to switch to wine, and I've never looked back. I mean, I still like the occasional beer, but I think wine is a very good choice for somebody who just wants to drink a little on the slower pace and just savor the flavor a little bit more than chugging a beer.
I totally agree.
I'm a Scotch guy. I like single malt Scotch. Macallan 12 is my go-to.
I forgot that. See, I don't care for the hard stuff.
Yeah, I don't drink it every day. I usually stick with wine, especially during the hot months. But I'll occasionally enjoy a good whiskey. Yes.
Very cool. We'll save the date. October 4th is the next Whiskey Fest.
Whiskey Fest.
That is sick. That's right.
How do I know this? Because Friends of Feeney is the beneficiary of the event for the third year
nice.
in a row, maybe fourth year in a row. So thank you, Matt, and all of our friends at Maximum Beverage. What inspired you to get this podcast started?
Well, I've answered this question, but never actually answered the question on this show. I would probably say about 14 years ago, my neighbor, Steve Adler, was a former town councilman. We were always having wine parties in the backyard at the house. And my house is usually open for friends in the neighborhood. And he came over one time and he says, Bob, you do these wine parties all the time. Why don't you go to WHC TV and do a show on wine? And I remember it like clear as day. And I looked at him and I said, I can go on TV and drink wine and talk about it? And the rest really has been history. I came down, Jen Evans was here. Back in those days, Jatu Huntley was a producer, a director here also. And boy, they were great. They really, I had never done anything on TV before. My co-host, Jim Smith, he had done some broadcasting work. But I just fell in love with it, just to be able to go on TV and talk about the wine at that price point that I thought was reasonable. It was just a great experience. And that's really how it started.
So cool. All right, we're going to play another game. Are you ready?
Yes.
So it's called First, Last, Best, Worst. We're going to do Two Guys and a Lotta Wine podcast episodes. Your first one, your last one, your best one, and your worst one. Any order, totally up to you. Are you guys thinking of the
I know. For me, I know what the one I'm going to pick because I think it's kind of hysterical. It's a little older, but you want to go first in this one, or want me to go first?
Well, my first one I remember because I was actually on with Matt Whitney, and it was because Jim was not able to make it at the last minute, and you said, do you know of anybody else that would want, just to kind of round out the bunch? And we had a Merlot show, and that was 2017. That was in February of 2017, so quite some time ago. So that was my first.
First episode, 2017. Very nice. And Matt Whitney was involved again.
His name is coming out like left and right here. That's hysterical.
And I have to say, because I've been doing this so long, my first episode is the most memorable, and I know when Jim and I were doing it, we said, what's going to separate us when we're doing this show? And at the time, 2.5 Men was still on. And remember, Charlie Sheen had those shirts on. I don't know what they were called. They had that stripe on the side. There was a name for those shirts.
Like a bowling shirt?
Yeah, it's something like a bowling shirt, sort of retro, like a Kramer type shirt from Seinfeld. So we had matching shirts on. And we were standing up back then at the studio. And I remember the introduction, and I said, thank you for joining this special occasion. It's Two Guys and a Lotta Wine, and I went into the intro kind of clumsily. And then I said, when Jim and I host our wine parties, and it didn't dawn on me at first when I said that, and I think for the first probably 6 shows, people probably thought me and Jim were married. And it was hysterical as our wives were watching the show, and do they know what they just sound? Not there's anything wrong with that, but it was just hysterical, and I just always thought it was funny. If you look at the old shows from 2011, you see Jim and I matched exactly alike. And always saying when we host our wine parties, it just is pretty freaking funny.
I love it. First, last, best, worst. Which one have we touched on?
Let's see. So that was the first, and what are we on next, you said?
Totally up to you. Best, worst.
Well, there's a about that. Okay, this just made the worst.
Stay safe, everybody.
Yes,
Can I stop that?
If something flies through the building, this will officially be the worst.
Oh, we're going out.
Actually, we'll go viral.
I'm going to go ahead and...
It will go viral.
Yeah.
How come yours didn't beep?
I turned mine off, I think. Does it still go off?
Completely off?
Yeah.
Oops. Sorry about
Yeah, those
that.
are going off a couple days ago.
For me, let's see, the worst show would probably be when I brought in, and I don't know if you're here, Rocky, the Russian champagne. And I've done the Russian champagne twice. And the first time I did it, I think Jim was here. Were you here? And I opened up the bottle. It was from Russia, some part of Russia. It was supposedly Stalin's favorite bubble. And I got to say, I opened it up and tasted it, and I now realize why Russians probably die early, because it was horrific. There were hardly any bubbles. I felt embarrassed from bringing the wine, and I'll never forget it. But I did bring it one more time. And I don't know if you remember that, Rocky, because I think you were part of that when I brought it again. Do you?
I vaguely remember this.
Man, that's my phone going off
Russian.
now, and I thought I turned it off.
Russian champagne.
But there you go. But when I bought it for the second time, and I thought you were on the show, I thought, okay, it can't possibly be as bad as the first time. It was just maybe a bad bottle. No, it was just as bad. So that Russian champagne, if you see it in the stores, and they do have it locally, you'll know it. It's Russian. It's got Russian red in it. Do not buy it. It is awful.
I'm going to have to go, and this has nothing to do with the guest because she's one of my favorite guests. This was when the pandemic hit, and we shot one from my dining room. And it was just, logistically, it was such a disaster because I was trying to keep the wine cold in like
Is that Kaylin?
a cooler. Kaylin was the guest. And Kaylin, if you're listening, this has nothing to do with you. It's just totally about how it was just, I remember I had an ice cooler on the floor. I was trying to keep the wine cold, and then I was bringing it up on the table, and it was like dripping everywhere. And the cameras I don't have a huge dining room, and so I'm like, the cameras are, am I going to look like I'm in a fishbowl effect here? We had no idea what the sound was going to be, but we were just flying by the seat of our pants because we couldn't shoot in studio, and this was, 2020. I think the episode ended up being okay, but I'll have to say, as far as the shooting goes, that was incredibly frustrating.
I can see that. That was tough filming those Zoom ones
Yeah,
early
that was,
on.
Change of location. Oh, it was Zoom too.
It was it done via Zoom, or did they bring the cameras in? I don't even
Nope,
remember. I think they set up a camera across.
They did set up a camera.
Yeah, they set
They
up
did
a
set up a
camera
camera.
in my dining room, and it was very difficult. But
Seems so long
Kaylin
ago,
did a great
doesn't it?
job with
Seems
it.
so
She
long
was a great
ago.
guest. So,
All right, so that was our best and first. Was there another one that you guessed?
Worst, last. That was your worst at the house.
yeah, that was probably my
Your
worst.
last, most recent.
The most recent was
Doug from Missing Link.
yeah,
Wine
Mr. Who
Company.
was actually
Doug
guesting
Rankin.
your show.
Doug
Yeah,
Rankin.
he was a great guest too.
And Doug had some
Lot of
fantastic
knowledge.
wines. Fantastic wines.
Missing Link Wine Company.
Yes,
Great stuff.
they have a lot of artisanal stuff, a lot of organic, and they're really into like the winemaking process and bringing wines that are in.
chocolate.
He brought some
Did he pour it
chocolate,
behind his
yeah.
back? Did he do the pour behind his back?
He did not do that, but he did.
That's
He
his
did
move.
he did the liquor bottle on top where you pour it from way up high.
Yeah.
I am. But yeah, I
Oh,
love
that
chocolate.
adds flavor.
It does. It
It
really
aerates it.
it's
I can see
aerated.
that.
Gets everything bubbling going through there. So that was our
Hey,
last show.
we have a wine tasting fundraiser with Doug Rankin coming up too. It's going to be at New Park Brewery, TBD right now. So
Oh, okay. We'll have to keep that in
please,
check.
Okay.
please attend.
Yeah.
We would love to have you. Doug Rankin, episode, I wrote it down, 44.
Very good.
Doug Rankin, he's the man. I really like him a lot.
He's a great guy. And like I said, I know he knows his wine just like Rocky does. And the stuff he brought in was really good.
And they're doing some really good stuff on Instagram now. You see that the videos they're adding entertainment, humor. It's a little more engaging. I don't know who's writing that stuff for you, Doug, but you're even more funny than you have been.
He did
before.
say he had a new person, a younger person that's in charge of the marketing or advertising.
Ah, okay.
So,
It shows.
yeah.
Again, Doug, you've always been funny. He's a good guy.
So what's your favorite?
Best, worst?
Oh, the
Very
best.
good. I'm really
Oh,
curious to know
yeah.
that.
You know, me and my wife have this argument all the time. Like, what's your best this? Maybe my mind's not geared towards that, but the best category of shows we do, I think will have to be the holiday shows when we do the bubble
The
shows.
bubble show.
Because I like
No,
dressing up a
it's
tuxedo, and we've been doing the bubble show every year for the last 13 years. And I think it's just fun.
Mm-hmm.
I love bubbles, whether it's champagne or just sparkling. I love the dressing up aspect of it. I love the formality of it. So anytime we get to do a bubble show, I think is what I would say is my favorite.
And
Sounds
Essie
fun.
LeBreau, our former town clerk, has been on, I think, 3 or 4 in a row now for that. She's become
Yep.
a regular on that. And
She was a
always-
regular on that one.
She always makes it fun. She'll bring parlor tricks like pop rocks and different things
Pop
that
rocks
create
and
like
bubbles,
a sparkling and colored bubbles
Putting
effect.
pop
and then
rocks in the champagne?
Putting pop
Yeah,
rocks in
it's
the
really
champagne.
great.
Yeah, we did that one time.
Adds flavor
and,
too, and the pop.
Yeah.
And the little gold sprinkle dust that she puts in now
Yep.
that is edible. It
Always
sort of
fun.
adds a little shimmer to it. So yeah, I think the champagne shows that we do on the holidays are probably my favorite.
Wow.
I'd have to say the one we did in your backyard. That was I believe it was our anniversary show.
Yeah,
That
was
one was
a
a
good
lot of fun
too.
because we had some that was probably the highest end wines that we've had.
Yeah, we had
Everything was-
wildlife running through just
It was crazy.
out of the rabbits darting here and there. That was pretty
The
good
rabbits
too.
made it into the final cut of the show.
But that
National
was
Geographic.
Yeah.
pretty good too.
Yeah.
You're right, Rocky. That was a good one. But that's why it's so difficult to pick the best of anything. And I think even you, Eric, you've done so many shows, and you probably have a few favorite. But after a while, you have a category, and you have a vision of what was funny. But it's hard to just say one is your favorite.
Yeah, I get that. Well, I've been a teacher for 20 years. I taught at Kingsbury School, where I went to school as a kid. I taught at WHCi Elementary School, where my daughters attended. I was a finalist for Teacher of the Year 2 years ago. I'm just honored. Mrs. Jarrell was my 5th grade teacher. She changed my life. That just helped me lead and get my path into being a teacher. I try to be someone's Mrs. Jarrell. Do you have a favorite teacher?
Wow, I know you had that was one of the questions I thought you were
You
going to
had
ask.
prep time for this
Yeah.
one.
No,
Did you do your homework?
It's not so much homework, it's memory.
Yeah.
And I always did like school. I was always a person that liked learning outside of the curve in class. So I tended to want to read about things that they weren't being taught. So Mr. Kinsella, probably when I was in 11th grade, I'm not going to go back any farther than that because it's really stuck. He was big into history. And he said, Bob, as long as you know your history and as long as you understand history, you'll always know what's going on in the world. And I really grasp that. I'm just a history person. History of the world, history of our country, history of the other states, other countries. Stay on top of things. If you stay on top of things, what's going on in the world, you'll always look at the world a little bit more better instead of being ignorant and not knowing what's going on. So, Mr. Kinsella, thank you.
So mine is an interesting story. I thought about this, and it hit me. It never really occurred to me that this was the case, but my favorite teacher was someone named Miss Murphy. She was an English teacher, and she was known for being the hardest, most difficult teacher in the English department. Nobody wanted her. So freshman year, who do I get? I get Miss Murphy, right? And I'm like, oh. And so get through the class. Now, it rarely happens where your sophomore year you'll end up getting the same teacher. Rarely, but it just somehow it can get shuffled around the classes, the teachers. Sophomore year, Miss Murphy again, right? And so I end up in her class, and I'm just like, and so we're going through sophomore year, and then it has never happened, I think, in the history of the school that someone got it 3 years in a row, right? Junior year here, it's what happened. I get Miss Murphy, right? So by this time, we've just had so much face. They don't want you to have the same teacher 3 years in a row. We've had so much face exposure. And we're just like bickering like an old married couple. And so we land in front of the guidance counselor in the school. Now, the guidance counselor just happened to live 2 doors down from me and had a son my age. We were like, I've been on vacation. Like I was very familiar with the guidance counselor. So I'm sitting there and the guidance counselor's looking at us and she's like, we're just like, I don't want to be in her class anymore. And she's like, yeah, I don't want him in my class. It was just the most ridiculous thing ever. Like we had just been together for too long. Yeah, we're like, and the guidance counselor looks at me and she goes, Rocky, I think that you should just stick it out. She goes, just if you want to just stick it out for a little while longer, and if you want to come back, if it's not working, come back and I'll put you in another class. And I'm like, okay. And so the funniest thing happened is that we both became like, from that moment on, it's like we just needed to kind of have it out a little bit, and we both became really good friends. She was like, if I passed her in the hallway, I'd say hello and we'd talk, that kind of thing.
That's pretty good. Was this Tennessee?
And I'll tell you this much. This was in Tennessee, yeah, Knoxville, Tennessee. I'll tell you this much. To this day, when I see like someone use there, and there incorrectly, I immediately think of her because I don't make those kind of grammatical errors, and it's all thanks to her because she was very difficult, but she really cared about what she did and made sure that people didn't make those mistakes. So I'll have to say that she was my favorite. At one point, probably my least favorite teacher, but when it was all said and done, probably my favorite teacher. Yeah.
Interesting. I love it. That's so cool. Great story, too.
That is a good story.
3 years in a row. During COVID, I taught 2nd grade, and then the following year I taught 3rd grade, and 5 students got to loop. It's called loop with me. So it was cool to have 5 students to have me for 2nd grade and 3rd grade. Very similar. I was not someone's Miss Murphy, but so now it's great. And then this doesn't have to be West Hartford, but your favorite restaurant, and then there's a follow-up question.
Wow.
That's a tough one. Ooh, so many choices.
I'll stick to Connecticut only because it's only fair. Once again, this is going to be controversial. I tend to go outside of West Hartford a lot for dinner because I love BYOB places, especially when you know the cost of wine. It's tough for somebody like me to grasp it 3 or 4 times overpriced. But food-wise, I'm going to probably say for the best Italian food would be Bon Appetito in Avon.
Okay. Never heard that one.
It's probably some of the best Italian food you can find. Freshly made, freshly cooked. And we've been there a few times together.
Yep.
You can't really go wrong. The prices are reasonable. It's got a very New Yorkish atmosphere. It's very tight inside, so people tend to sit together and closer because the tables are closer. I love that because I like talking to my neighbor. Of course, if they don't want to talk, I get it too. I just like the closeness of it, and the food is always delicious.
And is it a BYOB place?
It is a BYOB place, yeah.
Mine would be probably a very close between Fleming and Max's Oyster Bar. I'm going to give Max's Oyster Bar a slight edge because I love raw oysters. So yeah, if I won the lottery, I'd be eating there a lot more. You know, it's not cheap to eat there, but I love going to that place. It's got to be mine.
And then
My go-to.
Before I get to my follow-up question, can you list your top 5 BYOB restaurants for our listeners?
Yeah, I think, have we ever covered that before? That's a great question, Eric. I don't know if we ever covered
Because I need to know. I'm
our
gonna write this
BYOB
down.
places.
We talked Zaytoon, does
Yeah.
it?
Zaytoons, of course, yep.
Yep.
Bon Appetito. Then we have the Elephant Trail, which is in Avon, the original one. The one in West Hartford obviously has a liquor license and they sell. What was the other place that we go to?
Nummy, I
pizza.
think on New Britain Ave, it might be BYOB.
Oh, yes, and also Lola's in Plainville, another fantastic
one was
little
good.
gem.
Did you
Lola's
say
in
Hot Heaven
Plainville.
Pizza? We've actually filmed a show there.
And we did film at Hot Heaven
Lola's?
Pizza. Lola's in Plainville. They've been around for decades. And Hot Heaven Pizza also in Avon. Great pizza, great food, and BYOB. And a very quaint little atmosphere inside.
BYOB, write these down, people. 'cause
Write them down. They're all good. You will not be disappointed.
Now, pros and cons of BYOBs, and obviously price is number one. And I guess you could drink.
You want to take that one? You want me to go?
It's a silly question.
I mean,
Because there are pros and cons.
Okay.
for me, it's that I know my wines and I know what pairs with food. I've studied it, and so I like being able to, if I know the menu, to be able to take the wine that pairs well with the food in there with me, and also the cost benefit. You can't beat that. The typical restaurant markup is anywhere from 300 to 500%. So
That's ridiculous.
that's yeah.
Is that
Whereas
why they do 50% off on Mondays?
That's why they can do that, and they're still turning
And
a
they're still
profit.
making money.
Yeah, it's not as much, but yeah.
And I want to emphasize, BYOB is not for everybody. I mean, people like Rocky or maybe even Eric, we tend to know what we like food-wise, so we can pair our wines. But if you don't know that, maybe it's not the greatest idea to go to BYOB. I mean, you're going to save money, but if you bring the wrong bottle of wine and you don't like what they have on the menu, you're going to be disappointed. So, like we do, we always will study the menu ahead of time, go online and check it out and see what's going to pair for this or that. And I think that's probably a better way to do it. Just don't show up at a restaurant, BYOB, without having some idea what you might want to eat with just a bottle of Barefoot and Bubbly, because you might be pretty disappointed if you do that, and you're not really saving anything if you don't enjoy the meal.
Yeah.
And the wine that you did bring doesn't really go with what you want to eat at the restaurant.
So what are some popular meals that will go with some popular wines? Can you think of any offhand?
I'll let Rocky start with this one. I have a
I'm
few
sure
of my
red
own.
goes with pasta, right? Is that the thing?
I know you're a big
Red
white
goes with
fish
steak.
white guy sometimes.
So the classic pairing is, we'll talk first classic pairings and then misconceptions.
Yeah.
Classic pairings, red meat with red wine,
I just
fish
did
and
that.
pork with white wine. But the misconception is that what really is important is not the red meat or the white meat, it is the flavorings that are involved. So if you take a piece of fish like salmon and you put some heavy garlic, some heavy like blackened seasoning or something like that, that might actually go better with a red wine if the seasonings are potent and overpowering the fish part of it. I typically don't think that there's a lot of steaks that go better with white wine, but if it's July and you're sitting outside on a patio and it's 90 degrees, honestly, a white wine is going to taste better to me in that kind of setting.
Okay.
So, but generally, red wines with steak, typically a Cabernet, a Merlot, maybe like a Chianti would also work well. If you're going to do a pasta dish, you want to go to the Italian wines. And then if you're going to go fish and pork, you're going to want to do white wines. If you're going to do Asian food, I would typically go with a white wine that's on the sweeter side, like a Gewürztraminer or maybe a Riesling, like a mid-sweet Riesling. I guess and then oysters and champagne.
And you've got to throw rosé in there too. I think rosé, since they're so huge right now, and I mean they really have exploded in popularity. Rosés pretty much go with, I would say, almost anything,
Yeah.
especially in the spring and summer. Just don't chill them too much, as we've talked about on the show numerous times. I think we've all come to the
Wait, you
conclusion.
can over-chill a Riesling?
You just lose so much flavor.
Not Riesling, excuse me.
Rosé, or even white wines in general, you can drink them a little too cold,
Wow.
and then you lose
Yeah.
a lot of the flavor profile.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You're
And my
better off.
wife loves rosé. Tis the season for the rosé.
It is, and like
This is
a good
rosé
rosé is
season.
fine room temperature, so that's really how you know if you have a good rosé. Because even though it's good when it's chilled, if it's still good when you take a sip 10 minutes later, not that we ever have wine in our glass after 10 minutes, but if the average person did still have some rosé in your glass after 10 minutes, it still should taste pretty good.
But the interesting thing, and this is where we've kind of learned this from doing this show so many times, is that we will start with a wine. Maybe if we're going to have rosé in the lineup, it's going to be first. You want to start light to heavy. And so then later on, we'll say, you know what, let's revisit that rosé, and all of a sudden it tastes completely different. Or the white wine will taste completely different than it did at the beginning, because as it warms up, some of the flavors tend to come out more. And chilling it too much can mute the flavors.
So as a teacher, I'm a lifelong learner. I try to learn something new every day. So glad I'm here learning stuff about wine. I'm gonna go home and educate the wife. Can't wait.
Don't educate too much. They don't like getting told what to do.
Honey, we're going outside. And we're gonna grill outside with a rosé.
Can't go wrong with that.
Very cool. All right, back to you're at your favorite restaurant. So you're at Bon Appetit.
I'll pick Bon Appetito, but
You
it
can
could be
have
anyone.
4 guests, dead or alive. Who are you picking?
4 guests as in,
Same question's going to go to you. So,
Okay.
as a celebrity mean? Or?
So, yep, anybody in the world. Celeb, athlete, politician, relative.
Wow, that's a good question. Okay, 4 people at the table. Wow. I'm going to go with, I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to go with Dr. Thomas Sowell. I'm going to go with, as an actor, I'm probably going to go with Clint Eastwood, even though he's a little older. I'm sure he could still talk to me. And then I'm going to go switch over to Walter E. Williams, another academic. And I'll round it off with, you know what? I'm going to round it off with Chloe Savigny.
Oh, nice.
I've always liked her. Yes, I always liked her.
She's in that great. Is she homely? No.
No, what was she in? I can't think of it. I liked her when she was in Big Love with Will Paxton. I don't know if you ever saw that about the Mormons and so forth. That was a great miniseries on HBO. Bill Paxton he's sorely missed. He was a great actor. I love Bill Paxton.
Chloe.
All right, there's mine, Rock.
And then who's Dr.? Both of those are academics?
Both are academics, conservative African-American thinkers, but don't let that scare you. I think they're both brilliant in their own way, and they offer a different perspective on a lot of things, and they've been around a long time. So I would highly recommend people check them out, their writings.
Cool. Claire Danes. I confused her for Claire Danes.
Oh, okay.
Oops.
Yeah.
Chloe. Totally different.
So let's see. Let me think about. Yeah, I'm going to say this.
Are you using the Googles to find your
I'm trying to,
dinner dates?
as I'm thinking about it, brainstorming. No, I'm writing it down because I'm going to forget. I know number 1 is Peyton Manning. I went to college with him.
Right, of course you did.
3 of the 4 years I was there, he was at that college, and he was just, even back then, Peyton Manning was a superstar, like a national superstar. So you would be at a restaurant, if Peyton Manning came walking in with a couple football players, by 10 minutes later, the entire place would just be packed. It was, Peyton's here, and this was before cell phones. I'm going to age myself. So that would definitely be my number
awesome.
1.
Good one. I like
Number 2, interestingly enough, I don't think he's the greatest actor in the world, but I've always heard wonderful things about Keanu Reeves. I've always thought, I'd like to sit down with that guy and just pick his brain, because who has that kind of money, that kind of career, and will just sit in a Subway or sit at a cafe by himself sipping on coffee, and people come over and he's like, yeah, sit down, I'll talk to you, and that kind of. So I would definitely put him there.
there's so many Subway pics of him. Just
Yeah.
the Subway.
Yeah.
No big deal.
It's amazing. I'm going to say, because I'm a musician, I have to throw a musician in here. This could be weird, or it could be cool, because he seems kind of like an oddball, but Eddie Vedder was my favorite singer back in the 90s, and that's when I really got started singing in a band and playing guitar and doing that. So I just think it would be really cool to sit down with someone who was kind of my idol back when I was, in my teens and early 20s kind of thing. And then the fourth person, this is going to sound corny, but it's 100% true. My wife, Sandy, would have to be there just because I would want her to enjoy this meal.
Damn, I'm going to catch
the other
you.
three.
My wife. Rock.
And let me tell you,
Thanks.
I was not prompted that question,
God.
so that I actually did think that up on the
All right, I'm
fly.
screwed. I'm sorry.
You're screwed,
I'm sorry.
Bobby. I'm sorry. I just.
He still loves you.
Hey, the Rocky is a very good musician.
I hope you have
Sorry.
air conditioning in your doghouse.
Damn it.
You play music too?
I am a singer and a guitarist, and I used to be the lead singer in a band for several years, but I am way too old to do that now. So me and the lead guitarist, Hat Trick was the name of the band. Me and the lead guitarist decided when the band split up that we would just start doing an acoustic duo. And so he plays guitar, I play guitar, he's better at guitar, but we just sing and play happy hours, and we're not out until 3:30 in the morning packing up band equipment and driving back from.
What was that great place I saw you perform? Was it last year, that outdoor event?
Oh, you came to, we were playing at a brewery. Where was that? I don't remember the
Was
name.
it Bloomfield? No, not Bloomfield. That was out.
It was in like Hamden.
It was on a hill or something like that.
Yeah.
In the Hamden area.
Yeah, he set that up. I cannot remember the name of that brewery, but yeah. So yeah, you've seen that.
I love live music. Live music is wonderful outside. Can't beat it. Nice day.
Yep.
Acoustic is really
Acoustic
cool
is
too.
awesome.
You cover, do your own?
Cover. You know, I've tried writing and collaborating with band members. It is incredibly
All right,
difficult.
you got to give us a little
A lot
Eddie
of-
Vedder. Come on, look at the camera.
Let's see.
Jeremy spoken. Is that right? Is he Pearl Jam? Or no?
Clearly I remember picking on the boys, seeing the harmless little word that we can't say on here. Oh, but we unleashed the lion, yeah. Nicest teeth and with the least let his breast. How could I forget? I'll stop right
That was freaking awesome.
Put him on the spot.
on the
You-
spot.
I think Rocky's going to be singing more on Two Guys and a Lot of Wine. Maybe we'll do a Rocky
That was
solo
officially the
every
first
episode.
time that I've ever
It
sang.
sure is. Yes, that's freaking great.
Well, Feeney talks with friends. Let's go.
See what comes out of it.
Collaborative episode. I love
Yes,
it.
there
Thank
we
you,
are.
Rocky. That was
Awesome.
great. Two guys and a
awesome.
lot of wine. I'm so happy to be here. Again, we're at where are we again? Town Hall. This is great. We're connecting with the West Hartford Community Interactive. Tell us about the West Hartford Community Interactive.
Well, they do a lot of great things, first of all. I mean, if you have any interest in trying to create your own show, definitely contact Jen Evans or go to their website. I think that's what Community Interactive is all about. I mean, yes, there's different forms of media out there now, as you know, as we all know, but community television is still extremely important. I think it gives people who might be a little shy otherwise to have access to a director, a producer, staff that will help you not only put your show together, but maybe sort of if you have an idea, sort of make it a little bit more doable on a short format. Because generally you don't have as long on a community television show. You've got 30 minutes, so you might need a little help in organizing that. And in regards to WHCTV, WHCi, that one time this was considered ranked as one of the best small cable television community access channels in the United States.
Fantastic.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it's still up there because it's a hidden little gem, and so many people in West Hartford don't know about it. That's what's so surprising.
No, Jen Evans is great. I don't know if she could hear me. Jen Evans.
Oh,
is
she can hear you back
amazing
there.
Yeah, she's waving at us.
She's the executive director. She's been here since 1998.
She is.
But she's
Wow,
been
yeah.
the executive director since 2008. And I'm honored to be on the board of directors now for the West Hartford Community Interactive. So thank you. With that being plugged, we got a big save the date, November 9th.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's going
Are
to
you
be
going?
fun. We're doing that wine show, so we'll be doing it.
So Two Guys and a Lot of Wine. We'll be doing a wine tasting. It's going to be great. Video highlights, special guests. We're going to right over in the West Hartford Town Hall. Actually, no, right, same building, but a couple buildings down. 6 o'clock, be there. We're working on a price, but save the date. 45 years.
45 years, and I think as of right now, my good friend Ray Hardman from CPTV has agreed to be the MC.
Okay.
And I think he's up for an Emmy for his show Around Town, which is on CPTV. I think he's up for a second or third Emmy.
We have
So
an Emmy Award-winning host.
he is. He's actually won Emmys before, but his new show that's on CPTV now is doing really well. And he goes around the state interviewing different people, doing different things, sort of what you do.
Nice.
More people that are artists and so forth like that. But as of right now, Ray has committed to hosting me. And for some of you who may or may not know, Ray's band, when he had a band before he became way too busy with life, the Radiation does the opening soundtrack for our show and the closing soundtrack for our show. So thanks again, Ray.
Ray leads the Radiations.
Ray was, yes, their band was the Radiation.
I like
They
it.
used to perform a lot, but he's just too busy now. So
All right, save the day. I hope to see everyone there. And thank you again, Jen. She's hard working. She dedicates a lot of time, energy, efforts to make sure that our West Hartford Community Interactive is up and running. So thank you for being a good friend. Speaking of which, our motto, be a good friend, right? Pick up trash, hold the door, give a compliment, be charitable. I'm going to back and forth. So Rocky, what makes Bobby P a good friend? Bobby P, what makes Rocky a good friend?
I'll let Rocky go first. I've been doing a lot of talking.
Bobby's just a good guy all around. I mean, he's always got positive energy that's just it oozes from his pores. He's always got good things to say. He's always got good wines to drink. He's always just he is the kind of guy that'll hold the door for you and say the right polite thing.
I'm opposite Larry David character, so it's just
I
complete
mean,
opposite.
I can't say enough good things about Bobby. When I started doing the show, it was not just, hey, I found a guy that I can do a show with. We hang out aside from the show. With our wives and the four of us, we'll go out to dinner all the time, and it's one of my favorite two people in the world. And I don't know what else to say.
That's very nice, Rocky. And I'm going to add to that since I met Rocky, like I said, it's almost been 7 years now. I think Besides the fact that I just love his little Tennessee accent.
Beat me to it because I've noticed it more and more now.
Rocky behind and said, Rocky's going to be on the show because we got to have somebody on the show with an accent here in West Hartford. And I think that's probably why the show does so well and we get so many hits because people say, I'm going to watch that Regis Philbin guy, but I really want to hear that guy with the Tennessee accent because he knows what the heck he's talking about. So, but yeah, no, Rocky and Sandy are great people. We have such good times together. And I think Rocky has made me a better wine person because he's so freaking knowledgeable about wine and he's so humble. I mean, I can't tell you how many blind tastings he's won at restaurants right here in town. And he'll go through the wines and he just picks them out and just knows what the heck he is talking about. And he probably will use a big word that his wife always yells at him for using.
I have several big words that I use.
And we're going to make them use them tonight. We're going to make them use them.
On the Desiree podcast, she won the raffle at the New Park Brewery comedy show, and she was a special guest or a special.
She was a great guest.
You dropped a word. I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? I got to write this one down.
Which one was
Started
that?
with H. I don't know. I can pull it up. It's just,
Methoxypyrazine, maybe?
No.
So if you have a corked wine, it's actually a chemical called 2,4,6-trichloroanisole. That might have been what it is. No, okay.
hibiscus. I don't know. It won't come to me, but I have to rewatch it.
It's ridiculous wine geekiness.
It was great.
I only say it because it's.
You're learning wine. You're learning vocabulary,
Yeah.
history. I mean, this is great. Pairings. I'm having a blast.
Well, that's what's great about wine because of the history. It's like anything else. If you like history, beer has history too. Don't get me wrong. I know beer is really big now, but wine specifically, it's just there's so much history in the different regions of where wine comes from. And I think that's part of the fun. Just you can have a little acre or 2 acres of land, and that wine's going to taste completely different than right over here where this guy's plot is. He's got his own acre and a half of land. It's fascinating.
It's an intellectual experience too when you can taste a wine and you really start to analyze what's in this wine. And we're tasting new wines on the show every time we do it, and it's like, oh wow, I'm detecting this and I'm detecting this, and it's got the various elements. And he touched upon blind tasting. Blind tasting is when you just taste, and I think we're going to be doing this later. You taste the wine and you just try to guess what it is based on what you're tasting. And they say that that's one of the most difficult things that you can do because not only is it using all 5 of your senses, it's also using the left side and the right side of your brain, and they all have to be in synchronization in order to tell what is in that wine. It is incredibly difficult. And I wish
what's that French word when you're Sauvignon? What are you? A Souet? When you taste wine, you're a wine certified wine.
Oh, sommelier.
Yeah, that's actually Rocky and his wife.
Most people say sommelier. It's actually pronounced sommelier.
Yes, sommelier.
So think about som and then the letter L and then yay.
I had Marsha McCurdy. She's the deputy chief fire marshal. She's a sommelier.
Yes, sommelier. Yes.
Sommelier.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I would love to take that course. I took the WSET course. I wear my pen every now and then. I did today just because I was going to be on the show. In order to get certified, though, for SOM, you have to go to either Portland, Maine, or New York City to take the class, and I don't have the time commitment. So the WSET is kind of a very similar course, but it doesn't have the actual serving portion.
And what did you do to earn that?
I took an online course. My wife actually took it too. There's WSET 1, 2, 3. Then there's diploma, and then there's Master of Wine. I'm currently on 2. I'm studying for 3, but I've got to put together some money. It's $1,000 to take the course. I really want to take the course for 3, but I've read the book through twice. And one of these days, I'm waiting for Sandy to get some free time too, so that we want to both take the course again together. So level 3 will be.
Yeah, that's one thing. I don't know if I told you. Technically, me and Rocky are not in the wine business. So Rocky is sort of in the wine business now, but that we never started or have been in the wine business. We just do this for a hobby.
For the love of the game.
Love of the game, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about a couple of events. We also have Muzzy Field, Bristol Blues, on July 13th. Please check this out. Tickets are $8. It's a fundraiser. They dress up like Field of Dreams. They use wood bats.
Pretty cool.
Played there in Bristol, so it's great. The Yard Goats on August 16th. Friends of Nicholas Parenti, saved up all his energy. He was 10 years old. Went to our Yard Goats game, surrounded by friends and family. He passed away 2 weeks later. So we celebrate now an annual Friends of Nicholas game. This will be our 3rd game at the Yard Goats, a very special event. We have our golf tournament, September 14th. You guys play golf?
Mm-hmm. I was in the profession for 5 years out of college.
No way. All right, September 14th, save the date. We'll be at Tunxus, our 3rd annual. We'll put the links in there. Our 6th annual Makerspace. You know what Makerspace is? When you're building with cardboard and duct tape.
Oh, wow.
6th annual. That's going to be in collaboration with Elmwood Makerspace. We're going to be at the Elmwood Senior Center. Great time. And then the 45th. I already shouted out the 45th. This is great.
Now, I got to say one thing about the Yard Goats. I mean, they really do a great job.
Oh.
The families. You know, say what you will about Hartford, but I mean, the Yard Goat Stadium, I think, is just a joy to go to. They run a really nice operation, and they're great with kids.
Very
just
community
oriented. Absolutely fantastic.
They do fun things. They let the kids run on the field. They have these cute little goat races when the kids are like 2-year-old kids running around. They let us do the 50-50 raffle. We broke the record, $3,500. We raised Friends of Feeney, so I'm very proud of that record. We went around and told us, and they split it in half. So we got $1,750, and the winner got $1,750. But it was a great. I had Game Day Connor on. He's the on-field host. He's a great guy. He's going to be the heckle hole. So if you ever played golf, he's going to stand at a hole and heckle you. You either pay him $20 to shut up, or you pay him $20 to heckle your buddy. Okay. That raised like $395 last year. Game Day Connor, thank you. And then Jeff Dooley, the voice of the Yard Goats, is an awesome guy. He was a podcast guest. So yeah, they're wonderful people over there at the Yard Goats. All right. Are you ready to do some tasting?
I think we are ready to do some tasting. And I think, Eric, we should probably start with yours.
All right. Now, Matt Whitney, brown bagging it. Do you ever play brown bagging it? He used to have these Instagram reels.
Yeah, he used to. He did like 100 and something shows, and then he stopped. I wish he'd bring it back.
I want him to bring it back too. I wanted to be a celebrity guest on a brown bagging reel.
Yeah, right. So yeah, because every now and then he would have somebody on.
So do you price, location, and type of wine? Or?
Yeah, well, so I think what we should do is when we talk about pricing on the show, for some reason, I don't know why, we can't actually say the actual price. It has to be a range. So you can't give just a range of the price. And region, which would be, I guess, what country it's from, and then the type of wine variety, the grape varietal. So those three. We don't want to make it too complex. So Rocky's going to get all three anyway. So
no.
Rocky, so he was talking you up before. He's like, Rocky's the best. Rocky's undefeated.
He'll be closer. I'm pretty sure.
I think I'm tied for the So at Union Kitchen, they have a blind tasting where if you get it correct, you get to take the bottle
winners
home.
Online.
And I've won 5 times. I think there's the guy who is the manager of or the owning partner over at Vinted, Michael Voigt, I think has also won 5 times. So I'm tied for first place for that. Last I heard,
that's pretty impressive.
A few months ago, but
that's so cool. No, I've always seen the winners.
But I'll tell you what,
Are you 5 for 5? Have you ever lost?
No, I lose all the time.
Okay, so what's your record? 5 wins, how many losses?
Easily 20 losses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I lose a lot more than
How do you enter to play?
You just go and you pay $15 for a glass. They pour it, and it's like this. You can't see what you're getting. And it's usually well worth $15 or more for the glass based on what they're pouring.
Yep.
And you pay your $15 regardless, but if you get it right, you get the entire bottle to take home with you.
Very cool. Yep. And same thing, you have to name what? Location?
Brand? No, it's way more difficult than that. They have a list of over 200 wines at their place, and you have to go on and you have to pick off the list what it is.
This one.
So I could be tasting it and I could say, okay, I know this is Rioja. Like there's no question in my mind. This actually happened the other day. I was like, I know this is white Rioja. I know it's aged. And then I go on their list and I'm like, there's 6 of them.
Oh.
And I'm not that good. I don't know that anybody's that good.
So you narrowed it down.
Name the producer. Yeah. Like even if you're going for your master sommelier exam, you don't have to name the producer in order to pass the test. I mean, that's really tough.
Okay.
So, I might go there. I might narrow it down to a certain grape, a certain region, and then I'll get the one wrong. But then I'll go
back.
What
notes hit you to make you think that to narrow it down to that 6 that for that instant that time?
So this one was, I could tell it was aged because you're looking at a white wine. It's going to be a little bit darker. So when wines age, you'll notice like a red wine becomes more brick color, a white wine comes more golden color. It's the same color, but if you put that in red wine versus put it in white wine, it's going to have that effect, right?
Interesting.
So as it ages, you can see the color. With the flavor, I say the aged white wine, this is just for me. I think it has kind of almost like a plastic taste to it. And that's not selling the wine, but that's how I remember it. Almost like when you pick up a piece of fresh Tupperware and you smell it, there's like a plastic aroma that goes along with it. Interestingly enough, we're talking about South African wines.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right about that.
Yeah, and then just the flavors that were in there, to me, a lot of citrus. There's still some minerality. that was going on, and that is Vera is the grape that just they're typically lemon bombs when they're young, and as they age, they get that kind of a little bit more of a scorched earth flavor with the lemon syrup.
Now, where did you get this wine from? Did you pick this out yourself? Did somebody recommend it?
So this is my wife's favorite.
Oh, okay.
So shout out to Nicole Feeney. I have to bring out Matt Whitney knows.
Do you want to do the point? You want me to pass the glass?
So here,
down?
I got a gift too. So please enjoy. I don't know if you want to pour it in that or save that for later. But you're being a good friend.
Thank you very much.
For being here.
Thank you,
That's
yeah.
perfect for the
That's
beach
cool.
or the pool.
Oh,
Maybe
we
not a
gotta
wine
get
glass,
we gotta get some swag,
I
Rob.
got a new kitten, so this is perfect because he can't
We
break
gotta get some
this.
swag on two guys.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know what you want to use that or you want to use the wine. You can't drink out of plastic, right?
You could, but we'll use the wine glasses because
That also gives the coloring and the flavor and the.
That's true.
Yeah,
People
you
might want to see the
probably
color.
wanna- For the purposes of blind tasting, we
for
might
the
want to use
show.
a glass.
All right, so I'm gonna wait just a
Well,
little
it's
bit.
not
right?
Chardonnay.
See,
It's not Chardonnay.
It's so good.
And it's not super dark, so I don't think it's gonna be too old. But that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's all right.
Not Chardonnay.
I can tell you this much.
I already got an aroma
What
here.
we're looking at right now, which is kind of like that medium level of red for red wine, is probably about the most common. So this is not going to be easy just by looking at it. I'm not really breaking a whole lot down. I can say what it isn't. It's not like Tanat from Uruguay.
More. You can have that one.
But
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
This is wonderful.
all right.
Two guys on a whole lot of wine. Feeney Talks with Friends collaboration.
Okay.
Got to take a big.
I
deep
just took a
whiff.
sniff, and I'm going to say that this is Russian River Pinot Noir.
I know it's a Pinot Noir.
Now, how do you know that right away? It's like that. You're not wrong or not right
No,
just yet.
I'm just.
You want to play, Dave?
But see, this is what I don't. You're not supposed to do when you're evaluating wine. You're supposed to be like, okay, this is a pale, red, medium concentration of whatever, fading towards a watery meniscus, no signs of gas or flocculation. There's minimal staining in the. And you go on down. It's called
check the legs or no?
sommelier grid. Yeah. So you look at the legs, and if you can see, like this one's probably got. I'm going to put it at about 13.5% alcohol.
Yeah, I got a little burn.
based
I
on
would
those
agree with that.
legs, yeah.
Have you tasted yet?
Yes.
Yeah, the legs that go down, it has to do with the rate of evaporation of alcohol versus water in the wine. So the longer the legs are, the slower moving and thicker the legs are, the more alcohol is in the wine.
What's interesting though, this is your wife's favorite. This is the kind of red that even in the summer you can drink. Even though it's got a higher alcohol content, which some people might think is not easy to drink, I can drink this in the summer, no problem at all. So the question is, I'm going to still say it's a Pinot Noir, but Eric sort of sent some signals that maybe it's not the Russian River.
Yeah, I mean that was just straight off the nose.
Yeah.
I'm not that good, but it's very, now that I'm looking at it, it's pretty translucent. So there's not a whole lot of grapes that are this translucent. One's Pinot Noir, one is Gamay, one is Carmenere. You might get that. Sometimes Chianti can be that. I definitely don't think this is Chianti. That's, what else could be that light?
I'm going to say it's American. I'm saying it's definitely
Grenache
American.
could be that light too. So who? Yeah.
Oregon?
I'm getting it to the chip already.
I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that I might actually know what this wine is. This is a Tri-County wine from 3 different places in California. It's called Miami. It's just got a lot of. So when Miami came out, they did this thing where they took wines from 3 different regions and they figured out the perfect way to blend them together. The American consumer just loved it. And so it's either Miami or it's a copycat of that. That's my guess. I'm not saying that is what it is, but that would be what my
I went to the Travelers,
guess
and that's
would
what
be.
they were serving there. Miami.
Yeah, it's incredibly popular. Again, I'm not tied to that guess.
It's always hard for me to go after Rocky because, like I said, it's.
But it's got the thing that you expect out of Pinot Noir is just bright cherries, and this is bright cherries.
Yeah, and
I mean, if this is one of those times that if I missed it, I wouldn't be upset at myself because I'm like, it's still a pretty good guess. So
I'm going to say I'm going to go with Oregon. Just Oregon.
all right, I'm going to say California Pinot Noir, and price point probably around $20.
Oh, we can't do that. Oops. Drum roll, please. All right, so this is
Bread and butter.
bread and
Noir,
butter, Pinot Noir.
California.
That is California
Yeah.
then.
Napa, California.
Yep, that's a Napa. That's a
What
pretty.
year?
I didn't see the year.
I'm
How much
I'm
alcohol?
going to say it's new. It's definitely not. It's probably 22, 21. Yeah, somewhere around.
And how much alcohol?
I'm going to say 13.5 to 14. Yeah, it's
13.5, yeah.
13.5, Napa, California. Bread and butter. Yeah, she loves this.
Yep.
It's delicious, and once again, it's the kind of wine that you can definitely drink in the spring or summer. It's that good.
And Matt has suggested flavored wines that are similar, but wife always goes back to the bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about $15 to $20.
Yeah, it's a very good price.
There's a process called malolactic fermentation that gives Chardonnays that buttery taste. Their Chardonnay, if you like the buttery, if you're having like some Dungeness crab or something like that, that's like a buttery dish, the bread and butter Chardonnay is one of the butteriest Chardonnays that you will find. And at the price point, if you like that, you're not spending like a Rombauer type of price. So I would recommend that too if you're into the buttery Chardonnays.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Good.
All
Good
right,
choice.
Great guessing. That was awesome.
All right, are you guys finishing your wine? Should I go to the next one? You want to dump it in a pour glass?
I'm going to dump it in here because I forgot to bring water. So if I get parched, I'm just going to take another sip of this. Here we are.
All right, let me have my bottle there, Rock. Mine's aluminum. All right, so I'm pretty sure Rock is going to get where this is from. You might also, Eric. I don't know what your palate is in regards to wine. I have an aerator attached to this. So look how dark that is already. So
that's not Pinot Noir.
this is not Pinot Noir.
Well, I don't know, Eric. Are you wanting to guess too, or am I?
I'm going to try my best. I'm going to embarrass myself.
I'm not going to give it away. I mean, or we can just all me and you can collaborate. And you can
I
tell me
can't
what you
talk
think.
too much because I don't want to give anything away because Rocky knows my palate. So if I don't want to talk too much, I'm just going to let you guys first smell and taste.
Well, it's not hitting my nose like the Pinots.
Mhm.
No, it should.
Yeah, that bread
that's
and
the
butter
first
leaks
thing I
out of the
noticed.
glass at you.
You should taste it rather than smell it.
Okay. Dry.
It is supposed to be dry.
Okay. Haven't embarrassed myself yet. Dry. Dark.
Beautifully dark.
There's so many things this can be. I'm going to.
Checking the legs.
I
What's this
just-
move?
Just aerating
True or
it.
false?
Yeah, just kind of like.
Yeah.
True or
aerating it.
false? It works.
Yeah.
You're not just showing off.
It helps get oxygen into the. Just you can say it's kind of like centrifuging it, getting the oxygen down in there. And I really, from my days of actually, I used to be in a competitive blind tasting group, and I knew this a lot better. I was way better then. I'm looking at the legs. This has got some alcohol to it.
Actually, it's 14.5.
Yeah.
But it doesn't taste as strong as the bread and butter.
The tough thing about this one, this has got a lot of darker fruits. So this is not on the cherry end. This is more on the blackberry end.
Blackcurrant, yeah.
And so when it comes to that, my mind goes to it could be Cabernet, it could be this could be Argentinian Malbec.
It is a
This
blend
could
with
be-
one prominent grape as the main force. So it is a blend,
Yeah.
but one grape is the prominent.
So this, I mean, my initial thought was maybe like a Côte d'Aron, just based on, I know Côte d'Arons tend to get that kind of purpley around the edge, but also Malbecs do that too. But I know you don't drink a lot of Malbecs, so I'm gonna do something I'm not supposed to do, and I'm going to, just because I know you, I'm gonna check that off the list. I know you
Oh,
drink a lot.
Marlowe, way off.
I don't think
No,
Merlot's a
more
bad
or less
guess
not
at
way
all.
off at all.
Well,
I don't know too many. Marlowe.
We'll go easy on this one. Just the predominant grape varietal and what country.
Okay.
yeah, I'm.
Should have prepped.
I'm
Should
gonna
have took
say
a
that-
course.
Yeah, this is a Grenache Syrah blend from either Spain or France. Spain or France. I'm going to go to. France.
I'm smelling the lakes of Capistrano.
Yeah, this is
You know what
not.
movie that's from?
This is tough because there's so many things this could be.
Let me have a little more.
Oh, before we make a decision?
Yeah.
I gotta. And how come the aerator?
Yeah, so this
I'm
is
trying to
actually,
cheat. I'm seeing if I know that gold.
yeah, so this is actually a great little find. I don't know if I think I got this from you, Rocky, as a Christmas gift a few years back. It's a small aerator. You just stick it into a bottle of wine that you've opened up. It's obviously mostly for red wine. And it does the same thing we're doing when we're spinning the glass. It just gives a little bit of air, and generally for a wine that's got some years on it, you do want to aerate a little bit. Not that this wine is that old, but
I'm going
country.
just throwing a dart right now.
You're good.
Oh, country? You give me a hint. All right. So I was going to say Oregon, but Oregon's not a country. So I'm trying to read his,
You gave him a little
I'm trying to
hint
read
there.
him a little bit.
Yeah.
He didn't. You're a good poker
If you
player.
knew me, you'd be able to read me. But
You're a good poker player.
Bobby's a good. I've played poker with you.
yeah,
a few
we've had some
times.
good
You-
poker. Yes, we have.
He didn't crack. I tried to get him. I'm just going to go Merlot, Spain. Final answer.
All right. This one probably is going to be no surprise to Rocky. This is a Bordeaux,
Oh.
Oh, say it.
80%
Said it
Merlot.
Cabernet. But
It is a Bobby Dazzler, as they say on.
so that's
somebody
Cabernet.
says it is a
mostly Merlot.
most of them was low. It is the
So-
Reserve Chateau Le Mont Vincent, and you should know, Eric.
So
I'm a
Eric,
huge,
you did better than I
Yeah.
did on that one. That's for
huge
sure.
French
Yeah.
wine, and there's a reason for that. So most French wines like this, they have a specific terroir flavor-wise. It's very dry. I like a dry wine. It's still flavorful, but it's dry. It's not overly sweet, which is why French wine sometimes really goes with a lot of different types of foods because there's nothing in there that's overpowering anything.
Oh, yeah.
And for Rocky, I wrote down what the actual combinations are. So we have, I think it's 80% Merlot, 12% Cab Franc, 8% Cabernet Sauvignon,
Okay.
and it is 14.5.
I got the country right. I'll at least check that one.
Yeah, it's a
right.
Bordeaux Superior, and it's a 95 pointer from Decanter magazine.
Yeah, it's got
95
a
out
lot
of
of
100?
Yep.
It's got a lot of blackberry in there. That's kind of what led me away from Merlot. Merlot tends to be on the red fruit side, but some of the Bordeaux's can be very dark brooding fruit.
And you're looking at between $14 and $18.
So Bordeaux is always a mixture of a bunch of things?
No, Bordeaux is a region of France, and there are a lot of different wines come from.
Yeah.
But it could be a
Correct.
lot of different types of things. So you'll see a generic term like a Bordeaux. It just means that's the region of France that the wine came from. And then what the different vineyard does with
Yep.
different grape
There's
varieties.
legally six grapes that they can use in Bordeaux, and typically they're heavy on Merlot and Cabernet. So Merlot by far is the number one grape in Bordeaux, and most people think it's Cabernet because those are the most famous ones. But as far as tonnage crushed, as they say in the industry goes, it's 2-1 Merlot.
And much like champagne, you can't call bubbles a champagne unless it actually is from the Champagne region of France. It's
Yep.
the same thing with a Bordeaux. A Bordeaux has to actually come from
Yeah.
the region, that particular region of
In
France.
in the States, we call that meritage. So
Okay.
it's just basically a Bordeaux blend, but done usually in California. Meritage.
And then Scotch had to be from Scotland, right? Did they change that? Did they change that rule or not?
I don't remember what
Pretty
that
sure it
was.
has to be from Scotland.
I believe
yes.
it does, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So even though it's the middle of the summer and it's been hot, both these reds, those strong and high in alcohol, are perfectly acceptable
Yeah.
for drinking in the summertime. I think they're perfectly fine for this type of weather.
Yep.
So, Rox, what you got, Rex? What do we got coming?
All right. Well, probably should have started
was
with
my
mine 'cause
first
it's
time.
light, Yeah.
You
So you might want to rinse, and I've got my our Initech mug over here, which is our dump bucket for the show. You know,
I just rinsed and drank the glass. That goes to show where I am.
all right. So if you want to,
Start pouring down here.
I forgot we were doing blind. That's why it's wrapped in a Target bag there. But
Oh, he
my
did bring a
man.
white. Okay,
My
good.
man.
Roger, I was there
good.
today. With my girls.
Now, will I know this, Rock? Have you had this one before on the show?
we have not had this one on the show.
Well, I like that. I like a surprise.
So
Two guys on a lot of wine, doing some wine tasting.
that's right.
Ooh, fruity. Right
Oh.
away.
This one, this one leaps out of the glass
Almost
at
like-
you. I love this one.
I was gonna say
Wow.
bananas, which is weird.
And this has been sitting for a bit. It's still delicious, even at this temperature.
Yep. I should have kept it cold. Huh? I didn't think about that.
We were talking earlier. This is an example of a white wine. Generally, people always want their white wines chilled. Here's a classic example of this. Probably would taste a little different if it was a little colder. It's been sitting for a while. You get a little bit more bouquet. It's a little bit more flavorful. Oh my. I get
It's
a
like
hint.
candy almost. It's very fruity.
Yeah.
We're off the continent, right? We're out of North America.
I'll give you that much.
Okay.
I'll give you that much. I'm going to say this might be tougher. I did not know that we were doing blind tasting. I probably would have brought something easier. I misunderstood what we were doing.
Oh, that's right.
But,
I want to
this
use
one-
process of elimination. We could take France out of this one because you wouldn't bring a French wine in. I can't believe you do it to me.
Why would you say that? I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just
Well, you know, there's that one French grape varietal I really like. It's not a French Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon
and
Blanc.
why would it not be French Sauvignon Blanc?
It doesn't have quite the neutrality of a French Sauvignon
Okay.
Blanc.
All right, I'll give you that.
So Sauvignon Blancs, do you like Sauvignon Blanc? You like the really citrusy ones?
Oh, yeah.
See, I don't. If it's too citrusy, this is
I
sort
would
of,
guess this is not one of those.
No, this is,
But if it's like a Bordeaux, a wine I've never heard of, I'm kind of out of the.
Well, we'll see.
Are
We'll
we
see
in
what you
the
guys.
classic like?
We're in pretty classic, so I've given to you that it is from France.
yeah.
So there's several regions of France. One is Burgundy, where you're going to have Chardonnay. That's the only, well, there's actually Aligoté, but it's Chardonnay is Burgundy. You go to Bordeaux, it's going to be Sauvignon Blanc blends with Semillon. You go over to the Loire, that's going to be mostly Sauvignon Blanc or
Yeah.
Chenin. And then if you go to the Rhone Valley, that's going to be kind of more on the floral Marsanne, Roussanne, Viognier. And those wines are just, if you taste more of a tropical note to it, kind of a less on the grapefruit and grass end that you would have like the Sauvignon Blancs of the
Which
the
is,
Western
there's
end.
not that in this one.
What region am I
I'm
forgetting?
going to Loire Valley. I'm going to go to Loire.
Okay, and you think this is Chenin or Sauvignon Blanc?
You know, you're a tricky man. And I think you might try to fool me with a Sauvignon Blanc. And I don't think I've tasted a Sauvignon Blanc from France like this. I'm going to go with Chenin.
Okay, that's actually a very good guess, but it's incorrect.
That's all right.
I'm going Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay, also incorrect. So this is a blend from a region called the Rhone.
It is a Rhone. Damn
Yes. I was trying to throw you some hints at the fact that it was kind
it.
of
I
tropical
know.
and floral and-
Man.
Okay, so this
didn't get the
is
tropical before.
the Veuve Mathilde. They have this at Maximum Beverage. This is on their beverage club. If you've ever seen, they do. If you buy like 6, you get a discount. If you buy 12,
Yeah.
you get an even deeper discount. So if you were to buy 12 of these, this would be between $12 to $14.
That's a great
And
buy.
that is a phenomenal deal for this wine. It is a blend of Viognier, Grenache Blanc, Roussanne, and Vermentino. So in all fairness, you guys, I don't think I would have gotten that if tasting it blind because that's a pretty difficult one. I would have brought like Chardonnay from
It's a beautiful
Napa
bottle,
Valley
too.
and
It looks
let
much
you go.
pricier than that.
Way
Yeah,
to challenge me
something
on my
like that.
first ever wine
Yeah,
tasting,
I'm,
guys. Thanks.
I miss.
Way to be a good friend.
I know. I'm a terrible friend. Do you have any like red stickers that say "Be a terrible friend" that you can just give
Put
me?
the Ghostbuster sign.
Right, exactly.
But that's what's great about white wine, especially. You never know what it's going to taste like. You always have an image of what white wine's going to taste like. But when you drink something like that, it's just
No, that
completely
fruity
different.
popped right out.
Mhm.
What fruits did I smell, you think?
For me, I think there's like a pineapple. I think that there is a little bit of banana. I think there's some orange.
I wasn't crazy for the banana.
Yeah.
People at home are going to laugh at me for guessing banana.
Yeah.
They're not.
No,
Yes.
you gotta. And see, this is what we do on the show. I want people to just stick your nose in the glass, taste it, and just
Be honest.
Be honest, yeah.
throw it against the wall. What do you think? And if you think that you taste, we were talking about how some South African wines taste like Band-Aids. If you think you taste Tupperware or Band-Aids, or if you think you taste like a wet rock, or there was the famous the Somme movies. I don't know if you guys have ever seen them, but there was this famous line where he's comparing Clare Valley Riesling to a cut garden hose, and they give him such a hard time about it. Or a freshly opened can of tennis balls. I don't drink a lot of Clare Valley Riesling. It's hard to find, but I said I have to find a Clare Valley Riesling and
Just to
this
see
guy's
if
right.
it.
And I tasted it and I was like, by God, he is correct. This tastes like a freshly opened can of tennis balls. That is the best way to explain it. But you just got to throw it out there and say, don't be afraid. Like people are so like, oh, I don't want to say what I think this is. It's like if you think there's strawberries and it's a white wine, say it. Because it could be. People will go.
I was saying, Eric, that's probably one of the things I think we try to emphasize the most to people who watch the show is don't be get out of your comfort level. If you're used to drinking just barefoot and bubbly, or what's the other one that people always gravitate to, the cheap red wines.
Spumante.
Whatever. There's so many different wines, and you don't have to start expensive. Just try different wines. You never know what you're going to end up.
Yeah. Try new things.
Yep.
This was fun. All right. I mean, I was 0 for 2.
Oh, that's all right. I didn't do that.
You
great
guessed
either.
Merlot.
We'll do it again.
That was impressive. I'm impressed that you guessed Merlot. Is that was 80% correct? So way better of a guess than me.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the credit. I appreciate it. Good. That was a good teacher move.
Yeah, right.
I like how you worked on that problem.
Yeah.
Good effort. No, this was fun. Can I try that again? That fruity
Yeah.
one? No.
Like, all you want. This is one of my favorite whites. And
Now, would you put ice cubes in this?
I
Ooh,
will
that
at
a
this
silly
point because
question?
it's gotten to be a little too
No,
warm.
saying like outside on the deck or no?
What I do
You
is
do
I
not
have
do
a
ice
chiller
cubes?
that goes around it, and it's there's some kind of like gel inside the chiller, and it's got like a plastic outer, and you just put the chiller on, and it'll stay cold for a good. How long do those chillers last, Bobby?
Usually 30 minutes,
30,
35
45
minutes.
minutes,
Like
yeah.
a Stanley metal.
It's not metal. It's a flexible. How would you describe
It's
it?
like
almost
a,
like
it's got little gel packs in it.
flexible
It slides
plastic
around the
with gel
bottom.
packs in it. You
interesting.
put them in the freezer, and then when you take the bottle out, you put it over the top of the
Yep.
bottle, and it keeps the bottle cold for a really good period
About
of
30,
time.
35 minutes.
Yeah.
Which sure is enough
That's a
time
good
for us.
gift.
Yeah, because
It's a
we
good gift for my
finish in
wife.
usually in 30 to 35 minutes.
But
But
have to revisit this one as well.
What would you call that thing? Chiller?
that'd be wine
Bottle
chiller, bottle chiller.
I
Yep.
can't remember the name.
Amazon anywhere, just
Yeah.
look at Google bottle chiller. There's so many different types to choose from.
Yeah, they're not
They-
incredibly expensive.
They have ones that are just rods now that you drop in the glass that are actually like this thing here, but there's a rod attached, and it's got a gel pack built within the metal. So you don't have to have the chiller around the bottle, it's in the bottle. So awesome.
Sandy gets so mad at me because I'll do this thing where if I know it's a place where they don't have chillers and we're buying a bottle of white or rosé, I'll actually bring the chiller with me, and then I'll whip it out of my back pocket. She's like, "Oh no, you're not doing this."
What, in the store
I'm
at
like,
the
"Oh
cashier?
yeah, at a restaurant. If we get a bottle at a restaurant, and I know that they don't typically have chillers at the restaurant because some restaurants don't. They for one reason or another. But I'll bring my own chiller, and it embarrasses her.
It shouldn't embarrass. No, that's always been my pet peeve. If you go to a restaurant, you're paying restaurant prices for the bottle of wine. It better be presented to you the way it should be. And if they're not going to serve it in the right cooler, bring your own damn cooler. I mean, why not? Oh, I'd be remiss, Rocky, and I know I sent to this, and I think Eric got care of this. The oldest wine ever opened up,
Oh, if you hadn't heard this,
over
story.
2,000 years old, was just found in a Roman tomb. I think it was somewhere in, what was it? One of those.
I read the story. I don't
I
remember.
don't know if it was Italy. It was a Roman
This story is
tomb.
like all over the interwebs.
And
Would you drink it?
What I drank? Well, here's the deal. It was in a funeral pyre type crypt, and the wine was with the burnt ashes of the dead. So, and
Probably
they
won't drink it.
right. Well, they did say tests were done on the wine, and even though that it is infused with a dead person's ashes, it is perfectly drinkable. 2,000 years old.
Interestingly, the label was Soylent Green wine, which is I didn't know that they had back then.
Actually, how many people are even going to know Soylent Green? Has anybody seen Soylent Green? It's an old 70s.
I only know the line Soylent Green is people, but I've never seen the movie.
That
I've
was
just heard that line so many
who's the guy
times.
from Ten Commandments and Planet of the
Oh.
Apes? Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
Charlton Heston is one of those old disaster movies. That was a great movie.
Oh, it's-
Soylent Green.
that was a good family movie there. Yeah.
If I had to pick my favorite, though, I'm going to go with the bread and butter.
Wow.
It's been a long time since I've had that, and I think it's really good.
This is the best in glass, and so
Okay.
every time we all vote on which one wins, and then we take a picture of it next to it. So
Put it next to his glass, his bottle over there.
Very nice. All right, cool.
yeah,
Well,
I
thank
would
you.
I would give that best bread and butter the best in glass.
I'm honored.
There we go.
I like to thank
You
my
won.
mother and my father, my wife for picking. She's always stuck
Good
by
choice.
my side.
Good choice.
Best in glass. Well, I want to thank Dave from Direct Line Media.
Hey, Dave, thank you, my man.
Dave, he's been doing with me. I did Behind the Brand. He talked about Friends of Feeney. And here we are, 110 episodes later. We've celebrated the 50th podcast at Playhouse on Park. We celebrated the 100th podcast at Playhouse on Park. And we're getting to 200. So it's wonderful meeting you. You guys are good friends. I had a wonderful time.
We had a great time.
Yeah,
Do you have
thanks
any
for inviting
questions
us
for
on your
me,
show. It was great.
recommendations, closing remarks?
Wow, recommendations. Well, I have a feeling we'll be seeing more of you, Eric, as the time goes on. And I'm going to say I just love the fact that you're still doing things here in the community. And you're doing things for West Hartford, and just in general, giving people a voice. I think that's what it's all about, giving people a voice that maybe are either too shy or, I don't want to use the word afraid, but just need somebody else to maybe speak for them. And I think that's what we all do, even though we do it to a different degree. I think what you do is really great. So thank
Thank
you.
you so much. I appreciate that.
Everything he just said. I couldn't have said it better myself. The Friends in Feeney is quite ubiquitous around town. You've really done a lot of good things for this town and the charities, and it's quite impressive.
Yeah, my friend Avi loved being on your show. I know you did the wing show on that. He really got a kick out of that. So that was great.
Avi was great. Episode 91, we ate some very hot wings. Like,
the only way to eat them. Are hot wings big in Tennessee? Do they have to be hot? What's the deal?
They do that hot chicken thing in Nashville, but from what I understand, you go to hot chicken restaurants and it is incredibly hot.
It is.
Like, more hot than you're comfortable.
It should be,
doing.
yeah. It could be a little too hot sometimes. That's true.
I wanted to do a show though where we mimic the show Hot Ones. Have you guys ever seen that?
Yeah.
Where you just go through like wings from, they call it the Scoville scale, so they'll typically start around 50,000, and then they'll end up with the Hot Ones is 2 million on the Scoville scale. I actually have a board game, the Hot Ones, so I have that 2 million Scoville Hot Ones over here. But I think that would be fun if we could we couldn't do 10 because that'd be a lot of wine, but if we could do like 4 or 5 and then pair it with wine as we go up the Scoville scale to one of the hot ones, that would be hysterical.
Eating on TV has never been easy, but I'd be willing to give it a shot.
Especially when it's hot because you're just like, your nose starts running.
Is the hot sauce.
The bomb, yes, I'm familiar with that one. Yeah.
It's very hot.
I was sweating. I was eating napkins, drinking milk.
Yeah. You got to drink the milk. People forget that. You got to drink the milk. That's right.
Don't drink water.
No.
Milk.
No.
Or bread. No, Avi's a great guest. He's a great friend. WeCare Computers donated a bunch of computers to students that needed computers for online learning. He's a great person. WeCare Computers. Matt Whitney, we talked about. Doug Rankin, we talked about. Mike Isco. Mike Isco's on the board. He's a podcast guest. He's on the board of the West Hartford Community Interactive. I think he'd be a great guest. Len Diana is a guest. He does wine. He does the wine trail for the passports.
Yes, so
you ever do that?
I was very active on the wine trail early on when it first started, when we only had a few vineyards. Were you doing it early on, back in the early 2000s?
I've tried, but I don't think I've ever gotten more than about 5 or 6 in.
Don't get me wrong, every vineyard in Connecticut is beautiful. I mean, it's a small state, but our vineyards in this state are really beautiful. Just you have to go in there. Once again, we've never done any Connecticut wine shows. In general, Connecticut vineyards can import grapes from California. So you can have a percentage of grapes that are not all Connecticut grown. And I don't think it's a fair representation to do a fair tasting of Connecticut wines on the show. Because we're going to be honest. I think we don't lie about the wine. If we like them or we don't like them.
We'll give it a thumbs down.
Yeah, and I'm not going to do that to Connecticut vineyard because I respect what they're doing. And I think the venues there are all really nice. And some vineyards are very nice. I think the wines are very good. And that's just, like I said, I think people should check out Connecticut vineyards. It's a great day experience. It's a great way to taste different wines. But we don't do it on the show because I'm not going to dog a wine that I don't like just because it's from Connecticut. So, but the settings themselves are beautiful.
No, I learned, again, lifelong learner. I learned so much. I got to know you guys. You guys are doing a great thing. Friends of Feeney, our Feeney Talks with Friends. We talk to wonderful people in the community. So you guys been in the community doing great things with this podcast. Lots of fun. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. So anything else? We did 50 minutes with Feeney.
We did 50 minutes with Feeney.
That's our goal.
And also 2 guys, a lot of wine.
Has it been 50 minutes?
So we got to say, hey.
I thought the show went by fast.
Oh, we got to say.
We do 23 minutes.
We're doing a long wine show. So, hey, keep Eric, keep me, keep Rocky, all of us in your wine cellar.
Well, can we say 1, 2, 3, be a good friend?
Yeah, we can do it.
Oh, yeah, we got to get his in too. Sorry. Why don't we do you first, then we'll do what I just did.
All right, cool. What do you say? Keep you in your closet?
Keep all of us in your wine cellar. It's kind of morbid if you think about it.
We back? So that was wonderful talking with you guys. You guys are awesome. I had so much fun. Can we say be a good friend on 3?
Sure can.
1, 2, 3.
Be a good friend. And as always, keep Eric, keep me, keep Rocky, all of us in your wine cellar.